Hello and welcome to the 28th episode of the Bunker to Bunker podcast. We are coming off of a little bit of a weird week in the golf world, given that we're recording this on Monday morning, and today was supposed to be the final round of the Pebble Beach Pro-Am after getting postponed yesterday, but that was canceled about 6 hours ago. So the tournament turns into a 54-hole event with Wyndham Clark being your official champion at 17 under, coming off of his 60 in round three. Josh, what would you like to say about that?
Um, it's just about the entire weekend. I think this weekend could be potential monumental for the future of golf, honestly. I
Okay.
think, like, we'll get into Pebble, and I guess we'll start with Pebble and Live, but just from a macro perspective, I think that this could, because, like, Pebble was postponed on Sunday. We kind of knew that the entire
Hmm.
week. Players basically kind of knew that. So it's basically like the whole week, like when do they start? Like, do they finish on Monday or not? And Liv had their first event in Mayakoba, so they got the spotlight on Sunday. There are
Hmm.
some theatrics during the day about Liv, and then we'll get into kind of to recap the ending, but I think it could be pretty monumental with kind of momentum for
Hmm.
Liv having the spotlight. But yeah, I guess we'll start with Pebble. Um, and yeah, I mean, it's great going to Pebble at, it's, as, we talked about top two brand, maybe not even two, brand in golf. So Clark shoots a 60 on
Hmm.
Saturday to grab the share of the lead. He's up one on Obear going into Sunday. And he left three putts short. 16, 17, 18, he left two birdie putts short. His eagle putt on 18 was also short. But that 60 is still the tournament and course record at Pebble, which is pretty amazing. He got up and down for bogey. He made like a 30-foot like bogey putt, which is unreal. So I guess if he had to go back, that's really like the hole that if he just makes par on that hole, he shoots a 59. But um, I'm wondering your thoughts on Clark's historic round on Saturday.
Yeah, I mean, he had the putt. I'm blanking on what hole it was. I'm guessing 17. Yeah, that stopped about in short. Needed eagle to shoot a 59. But I guess I don't want to say it's overarched, but you kind of look at, we were talking about Joaquin Neiman shooting a 59 at Mayakoba, then Clark throwing the 60 out there. It's kind of just like turning into these like dueling tours, like they're, I don't want to say like beefing on Twitter, but, you're having, um, sorry, someone's just carrying a mattress down the street, and that's very interesting. They're really struggling. Um, sorry. Uh, yeah, dueling tours that are just, you know, going back and forth with firing shots at each other. PGA Tour tweeting out about how Wyndham Clark said he only want to, shoot this at Pebble, one of the best places in the world. And then John Rahm or Liv tweeting out about Rahm talking about, oh, there's 23 live events and we've had a 59, 58, whatever. That's impressive. So it's just kind of, I don't want to say it's being like overshadowed, but everything kind of just gets dominated with, well, what does the other, what does Liv say? What does the PGA Tour say? But yeah, I mean, Wyndham Clark's 60 was equal, insanely impressive. But to kind of pivot from that, with both, I guess with Pebble first, we had the whole Rory incident with his penalty, the incorrect drop, where he deemed his line of sight incorrectly. And it's just so interesting that these kind of happen. If I was on the PGA Tour and I was doing a drop, I'd probably call over a rules official. Again, I'm not a pro golfer, but when the stakes are that high, you need to make sure you're in full compliance with the rules, right? And someone like Rory, who's been playing the game forever, it was just a very obscure penalty. I don't know if you have any thoughts on kind of what went down with that.
I mean, it was kind of funny. like when he was in like the trees and stuff and like dropping, but it just doesn't really. I don't really like with golf. It's like so like Rory has power. Like he's in obviously the position of power. It's his ball. But I don't understand how it's not regulated with golf that like that there isn't a rules official already there to already like
Mhm.
tell him like, hey, like this is wrong. So like it's weird because like they just let him do his thing. Like 'cause like a tour official can hypothetically watch him drop right, and it's
Mhm.
incorrect, and after the round they're like okay like or like after like the hole, you did this wrong. It's a 2 stroke penalty. So like there is like it's just such a weird sport in golf that like an official can know something is happening, not say something and then say something after being the
Mhm.
rules official, which I think it should be the reverse. That if a rules official should like already be there or like, he should call one over, which I'm not sure. I forget if he did or not. It's just so dumb, you know. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's just golf, like that. Like that. I guess that's what makes golf golf.
Mhm.
In the end of, um, I mean, we've had, you know, I'm trying to go back to like the biggest rulings that might have. I mean, this didn't really have any impact to the tournament in like the end. Rory kind of faded on round one after getting pretty hot early.
Mhm.
I guess if you look back at like Dustin Johnson at the PGA grounding his club in that bunker, and and then he did something at Oakmont too that didn't matter, which they're gonna call anyway. Ramet Memorial, I think. Um, when like he grounded his club or something. I don't know. I mean, obviously Patrick Reed cheating a couple times on tour, but it's just I feel like it's just a weird thing with the official and golfer. That you know. Now I kind of think like how often does this happen?
Mhm.
Because like didn't I from my understanding Rory turned himself in?
Sorry, did a like button just pop up on your screen, or is that just my screen?
No, I like when.
Okay, well, I guess the software likes your question. Did Rory call over a rules official? I don't think he did. From the footage that I don't believe that he did. So it was more of something that like they saw after the round and then notified him. Which again, I don't know. You said like that's just golf, but we've seen so many times. Dustin Johnson is the quickest memory. What year was it? Whenever Martin Keimer won and DJ got penalized for hitting out of a bunker at the U.S. Open, I want to say 2013. I don't know if that's right or not. Um, but it's just so interesting that there's no one there, as you said, to like. I mean, there is, but they don't stop it. They kind of just like let it happen. And like, oh yeah, you screwed up. But I don't know. It's a game of honesty. It's a game of integrity. So um, it's
No,
unique
I'm
like that.
asking,
So
but did he turn did he turn
oh, did he
himself
turn
in? Not
himself in?
like
No, he didn't. No, no, he
uh
didn't. He got called out after the round by the rules official or the committee or whatever you
yeah,
want to
like,
call
I just don't. It's also a thing. I think it was Cantlay after I think it was round 3 or maybe it was
it.
round
Mhm.
2. He was playing with Hovland. I think it's round 2. He played with Hovland. He went in the water on 18. Left and like it was like they're like the last group and like you couldn't
Mhm.
really see it and no one really saw it. It's either it goes in and he drops or it's in play, so he didn't hit a provisional. However, him and Hovland were arguing um, where the ball crossed, which it's so funny because a tour official I think brought out his like phone and just looked up on the shot tracker like where it went in, which I feel like those type of things shouldn't take that long. If like we have the technology where the ball's tracked, that you should easily be able to know, I guess, the line of sight. Because I remember at the Players the year, it was actually your boy Daniel Berger and Holland, I think, got into it,
And at
and
the
Berger was
players, yeah, on the 16th
yeah
hole,
Berger was
yeah.
completely wrong. So
Hmm.
I feel like maybe Cantlay kind of knew that Hovland's right and stuff, but yeah, it's like kind of those things that just make golf golf. I
Mhm.
feel like there's really no other way to put it.
Yeah. Yeah, and then we also saw. I again didn't watch much golf this weekend, but Joaquin Neiman got hit with a penalty as well for a incorrect drop as well. So just kind of a weird week of similar occurrences happened on both tours, if you want to call them tours. I don't know.
Do you,
So
do you think Liv did that on purpose?
I was actually shocked to see that Liv actually called a rules infraction. To be brutally honest with you.
Well, that's what I tweeted out. I was like, there's actually like there's rules in this.
Yeah, I was
Like,
I was actually kind of floored when they released a
people
statement and all this. Yeah.
the people I remember just like seeing that. I didn't watch Liv until like Ron got the whole 17. So I guess I maybe kind of jinxed him because he kind of
Hmm.
faltered in the last two holes. But like because Neiman was up 4 strokes to Rom and someone else. Maybe I guess maybe it was Sergio. And then I guess the PGA announces that they're not going to play. And then
Hmm.
I don't know the time span between when the PGA Tour announced they're not playing to Joaquin Neiman's penalty, but it's pretty ironic that they just called a penalty on a drop for Neiman.
Hmm.
Subtract 2 strokes from him and make this more of a tournament with John Rahm now two back. Sergio two back, other players a couple strokes back, and a lot of people on Twitter. I know it's golf Twitter, but I mean, there is a solid chance I think that they just found something. They're like, okay, Neiman cut 2 strokes, make this more of a tournament to get people to
Hmm.
watch. Um, it's a fun conspiracy theory, to say the least.
Yeah, yeah, you're not wrong there. Definitely could have been a possibility. I mean, wouldn't surprise me in the slightest. But yeah, I guess there are rules in live. That's news to me.
Do you
Um,
watch any of the kind of the like? Oh, I know you didn't watch it live, but did you see anything about the playoffs and with Neiman and
no,
Sergio?
no, I didn't. I didn't.
It was so funny. Like so I'll just give you a quick recap. So basically, Neiman had a Neiman and Sergio were tied going to 18, and Sergio was already done his round, and Neiman was on 18, and Neiman needed the birdie to win or a par to um, force a playoff.
Mhm.
So they're showing Sergio on 18th green with like his daughter and family,
Mhm.
and they're tied. So like you know how like players just like go to like a range or like the putting green while the other player potentially because there's a
Mhm.
playoff. Sergio just didn't do that. It was like the biggest alpha move that he
Mhm.
just like was on like the green, like his family chilling, and then he's like, okay, I gotta go play golf now, and just like
Mhm.
pass his daughter off to like his wife and go. I thought that was just so funny because like it's just like the nature of I felt that kind of summed up live in a
Mhm.
sense of like it's competitive, but like not competitive. Like the way that
It's
Sergio
not.
kind of was like the way that Sergio just was like, yeah, I'll just go to like the like I'll play and like this
Mhm.
whole like playoff. Here he has millions and millions of dollars from like live. It's like doesn't really mean anything. So they basically go back and forth on 18. They get to the fourth playoff hole. Well, after the third, it was pretty dark out, so they had a rules official be like, you guys can play this hole or not play. But it was up to Neiman and Sergio, and Neiman, I guess they were talking, and Sergio gives like a head nod, like,
Yeah, like
let's
we
go
go
to
play. Uh
yeah,
huh.
and it was such like an alpha move again, and it was like
Mhm.
Sergio, and then they kind of they showed that Neiman like won Sergio's AJGA event 2 years in a row when he was like 16 or 17, and they said how
Mhm.
a young Joaquin Neiman, Sergio kind of took him under his wing for what that is worth. So Neiman did eventually win, but I just thought that Sergio kind of acted like a pure like alpha. Um,
Mhm.
and also he was in some Tiger Red on Sunday too, which I
Yeah.
found pretty funny. But
Uh,
that's his kind of his live team color.
mhm.
Did you hear the Rom hot mic?
I did see that. I did see that. Because that kind of I don't want to say went viral on Twitter, but you know, he is notorious for some of those moments and some of those actions. So I did see that. Yeah, I mean that's John Rahm in a nutshell for you. Nothing more than that.
Yeah, it was also kind of not weird, but for someone of Rom being the ultimate competitor, that his live team won
Hmm.
their first event, um, but then he kind of faltered down the stretch. So like they were kind of like talking with him, and Rom had like mixed feelings. Like yeah, like I didn't play well at the end, but like my team won. So
Hmm.
it was like kind of like how do you really like as a competitor like your mindset like how do you really it's kind of hard situation
Sure.
in a
Yeah.
sport where it's so individual, but then there's like a
Hmm.
team aspect. Especially for Rom, I think Rom just didn't know what to say. Like he was kind of
Hmm.
like, I don't really know what to say here, um, in the whole tournament. So, and kind of what when I let off today, being how this is momentum for Liv. Like this is their spotlight. They had a
Hmm.
a playoff theatrics during the end. Do you think Liv can like kind of build off this? I know that they go to Vegas next week, which they have some party hole again during like the Super Bowl and stuff. But do you think Liv can kind of like, do you think this is a momentum swing for Liv just to gain popularity? Not like PJ Tour versus Liv, but just more as Liv as a kind of like a competition and league.
No, I don't for the sole reason of again, I mean, yes, it's streamable on YouTube or watchable on the CW, but it's still going back to the same product, right? And they're also trying to compete where 90% of the sports world right now is focused on the Super Bowl. And I don't want to say golf is pushed to the side, but you have like the waste management coming up. Like it's a very big week, and you could say, oh, this is their momentum swing. This is their time that Liv is getting the spotlight back. But I still think they're just miles away from being at that moment where they need, or miles away from just attracting these amazing new fans, right? I just think again, I said the product is so unwatchable. It's There's just so many things that are wrong with it. And yes, they got their own Sunday to themselves. They got their own, the entire golf world. If you want to watch golf, you can watch Live, blah blah blah. But to me, I don't think it does anything.
Yeah, I mean, I think it definitely helped. Having like they had like that stage. I mean, I don't think it's gonna get like eyeballs to
Hmm.
watch Live on a not weekly, I guess like maybe bi-weekly basis. However, how
Hmm.
many or not, I don't know how many times that they play. I think like they're 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off. I think is like their schedule, but I think it definitely helped. Um, kind of their. I think it maybe helped that the hardcore fan, like maybe the above average fan, tuned in and said, "Oh, like this is what Live actually is about." I didn't really watch Live ever, so I kind of
Hmm.
watching it for more than an hour, kind of learned kind of like the broadcast of it. And this, I kind of wrote on Twitter my ins and outs of Live, if you want to
Hmm.
hear them. My
Let's hear it.
ins for Live are player hot mics. They had a
Hmm.
lot of player and caddy interactions mic'd up, which I thought was a lot more than what the PJ Tour offers. And there's no commercials, which
Hmm.
everyone is like, "Oh, I love this." But then, like, I say that it's nice not having commercials. However, I understand why the PJ Tour needs, they have to make money somehow.
Hmm.
The broadcast networks need to make money somehow. Live doesn't make any money, so they can afford, they don't care to not show an ad because they have
Hmm.
this investment fund. Um, the one, so I had 4 outs. My main out was, I guess, well, you didn't see this, but there was a putting tracking line. So when it
Hmm.
was Neiman's, all these big putts, they had like a line, like a highlighter line to the hole, and then kind of like um, another segmented line where it's
Hmm.
like shows you a read, and it
Hmm.
just like took away from like when like Neiman or Sergio would putt, you couldn't even see like the ball because like this like highlighter and this other line, like you just
Hmm.
couldn't see like a white ball. And
Yeah.
like I think on one of the reads, like either Sergio or Neiman hit it perfectly on that line and it just didn't go in. So like the like line was just not correct. So
Mm.
I was out on that. They had they called it the score worm, which is basically the chart that the PGA Tour has too. That shows you
Mm.
like this player is at like 15 under, then 16, then back down to like 15, and like all the other players. It was the most ugliest looking graphic you could ever see.
Mm.
And I was also out on the music during play. It's just so weird that you have like a big, John Rahm trying to hit a big putt on 17, and there's like
Mm.
house music being played.
Mm.
I just didn't. I just don't think there's a big need for it. I think it kind of takes away from the suspense of play. And my last was my last out was champagne after
Mm.
a big win. I think champagne is usually for to celebrate a holiday or a big event. I don't know if LIV Mayakoba is a big event to pour champagne on Joaquin Neiman or for John Rahm's team to pour champagne on themselves and pop champagne when they live there. Or I guess maybe for them there's more of a just justification because it was like their first event.
Mm.
But the champagne I'm just out on. It's just
Yeah.
it's just like too much. But if I find a picture of that putting tracking line, I'll send it to you. But that
Mm.
one was like huge out. It was just not it. I'll have to find it.
Yeah. My little couple minutes that I've spent ever watching Live, I don't have the specifics that you have, but it's just so confusing. You have all these, I don't want to say confusing. It just doesn't have an identity, right? Because you have like the scoreboard on the left hand side of the screen with all these different colors, and you have all these, I don't want to say like useless stats that they throw up on the screen, but the production value of it just isn't the same, right? We're looking for something, simplicity, the showcase the golf course, showcase the fans, showcase this, showcase that. We don't need this, house music in the background. We don't need, all these things distracting you to try and bring you in and watch longer, right? It should be a simple enough thing that if you just televise it, that should be enough. But obviously, they're nowhere near that. So my opinions on it, it just the production value is none. They're overproducing it. There's just too much happening, I guess, and it just takes away from the actual play. Is my short opinion on it.
Yeah, I don't. I didn't watch enough to have a stance. I didn't like see any glaring holes in the production. But a
Mhm.
lot of people did. I'll be completely honest. A lot of people on Twitter, maybe like not high profile, but the common names, involved Twitter actually did like the production of it.
Mhm.
Um, they liked. Obviously, no commercials helps. You have more time to show shots, so that's like the
Mhm.
first thing. But I think other things is like I think they went back and showed like they showed highlights and didn't do like okay like a moment ago where everyone knows that that putt or chip or shot is gonna go in like the hole. Um, I didn't think it was that bad. They had a lot of like different drone shots that I thought were kind of wonky and not that high level. I guess.
Mhm.
Um, it's just that I guess their whole thing for Live is they showcase the players. I
Mhm.
feel like the tour kind of, I'll say they showcase the players, but I feel like they also showcase the course. Obviously, when you go to a Pebble Beach, you're going to show shots on hole 7 all day. You're going to show, 18th hole all day. That's kind of like the whole like nature of it. It's something that I really, I guess, if you not want to go like PGA versus like Live, but I think with like the PGA, like the first and second round, they showed every shot from Nick Dunlap, and I think he came in like last place or maybe like second to last, which is no shock. He had the
Mhm.
biggest high of his life. He won emotional 2 weeks. He was not set up to play well at Pebble, But a guy's like scrambling for boat or scrambling for par and bogey on every hole, and they're showing every shot. He's not like Tiger Woods. He's
Mhm.
not at that level. He's 20 years old, but like they didn't show Homa, they didn't show JT, they didn't show Speed, they didn't show Hovland. For like your biggest names, they didn't show. They were at Spyglass. So I guess they had less cameras, but
Mhm.
like I know that you said that the production is low on LIV, which it definitely is. But the tour sometimes just they have these just mind-boggling things that I feel like they still don't get it. They have
Mhm.
been years and years behind. They're still years and years behind. That's why they're in this situation that I just don't get. I know it's hard, but I just don't get how you have four of the biggest names in golf and you're showing a kid who's struggling, who had 1 week of his life. People aren't watching. The average fan isn't going to turn on the TV to watch a Nick Dunlap. They won't watch Spieth and Thomas, Homa, Hovland, those names, and they barely show them on Thursday.
Mhm.
And I thought it was mind-boggling.
Yeah. It's just more playing towards who's trending, who's, I don't want to say influential, but, they just like to play to the names of who do they think would be, the better show. I have this amazing story about Nick Dunlap winning the American Express. Okay, we're just going to overshow him just purely because his name was more in the conversation than Max Homa in this given week. Because they were concerned about the short term versus the long term. So definitely agree with what you're saying. One more quick thing, and then we can move into a little bit on the waste management. I haven't been able to find if there's been an update on this, but I'm very curious. I don't know if you've heard, but a lot of smart bettors, or whatever you want to call them, not like smart, like mentally smart, sharp. Excuse me.
Sharp.
Oh, yeah. Um, a lot of sharp bettors placed a lot of top 5 and top 10 bets Saturday and parlayed them together, knowing that round 4 wouldn't probably be played given the forecast on Sunday and Monday on DraftKings. I think there's a parlay out there 20 to win 775,000. And per DraftKings rules, if a tournament completes 36 holes, bets will still be action. They'll be settled as such. But it's just kind of curious. Do you think that sports books will void all the bets because it's 54 holes? Do you think they'll say, "Oh, you need to update the rules"? Or I'm just curious, like, what do you think is going to happen? Because per the rules,
Oh,
it's totally
I already
fine,
know.
but I don't think they'll pay.
I, I
Yeah,
mean, I checked my sport. It depends when when was that parlay? Was
Saturday
that parlay
afternoon.
during?
Yeah.
Was there still play? I don't.
Hmm.
So I don't know if that's gonna be. I guess if you bet it during the round, I don't know. All my bets were won and lost. I
Yeah.
had like two matchups that I bet, on Tuesday that hit, and then I had like two top 20s that didn't hit or got dead heated. Um, but so I bet Clark.
Hmm.
So once round 3 ended, I was like,
Hmm.
I might as well. I was like, they're not playing golf, so I might as well throw some money. Not a big amount, but I threw some money on Clark to win after round 3 has ended, but that got
Hmm.
voided because it
Interesting.
was after round 3. I don't. So your question is, if you bet during like the round, like if you bet Clark to win during the round, I think like they have to accept that. But my bet was after round 3 and not round 4. I'm not gonna fight it. It was like 10 to win 20. So it's nothing that's that substantial.
Yeah.
So they did pay out. I thought they would maybe, if that rules like the 36 holes, like I had I bet Spieth and Thomas and Hideki, and I lost that money. I didn't get it back. I don't deserve to get it back, but it's interesting. Like I would like to see if that parlay that you saw did get paid out. 'Cause I know that if you bet Clark after the round, at least on FanDuel, they didn't pay it out.
My guess is it'll get voided too. And that's a huge liability for DraftKings to pay that. And there's probably hundreds of other parlays of a similar value. So curious because then that would also have a big influence on DraftKings stock. I mean, today might not be a terrible day to go buy to short some DraftKings stock because if they don't pay that out, I'm presuming it'll go
It,
down.
I do own DraftKings stock, so please
Yes, so
watch
do
what
I.
you're.
Yeah, so hopefully it doesn't get shorted today.
Unfortunately.
So I think the market will really be upset if they don't pay it out. But it's a weird one. I don't think they will, but I guess we'll find out. I haven't seen an update. Hopefully, get one soon. But yeah, I guess we'll spend a couple of minutes on the waste management this week. Always a fun time in sports when you have the waste management. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, of course. Then that usually wraps up, and you can roll right into the Super Bowl. So just a fun week overall. One of the best tournaments outside of the majors that exist. Probably the fifth or sixth best. Compare it with the players. I think it's better than the players, given the 16th hole. Um, yeah, I mean, very fun week overall. Looking forward to it. I don't know if you have any thoughts on this upcoming week.
Yeah, so I mean, changes from last year is that this is not an elevated event, so that the top players aren't um they don't have to come. I know that Rory, Cantlay, Obear aren't there. I saw on Twitter that Scheffler is 6-1, so plus 600 to win, which is no surprise. Scheffler is going for
Five and a
a
half.
three-peat.
He's 5.5 now.
So yeah, he's going for a three-peat that I think, strokes gains wise, this is the best course run that he has putted on in his career. 6-1 is crazy. Obviously, no Rory here, which kind of hurts. I think, Hovland, Xander, and I guess maybe JT or Homa will kind of round out the top five. Yeah, it's a big tournament. I know a lot of like Twitter handicappers and stuff and golf analysts always like to there is a little bit of a correlation between players that have played well at majors and the President's Cup and Ryder Cup and the players just based on like the magnitude
Yeah.
and the hype and the fans of everything. It's definitely a bucket list, I think, for any big golf fan to just go on the 16th hole. I actually have a friend, he's going on Saturday and Sunday to it, but I don't think he'll be able to go to 16 because you have to like get there super early, basically camp out, then sprint to the 16th hole in like the pitch dark. So I don't think he'll be going to 16. He likes to sleep in. So Ethan, if you're hearing this too, his also name is Ethan. We'll see. We'll get some boots on the ground content from him, but yeah, it's definitely exciting tournament. And that kind of begs the question of like kind of like what's like your favorite memory of just watching the Phoenix Open?
I think by far it was just the hole in one with Sam Ryder. Gosh, that would have been what, 2 years ago? I think 2 editions ago.
Maybe
Um,
three.
Maybe three. Yeah, that's just like an iconic moment. I also just love every Phoenix Open week going on Snapchat and going to the location there and just watching the stories at like 5, 6 in the morning. Of people cheering on the guy, drill, drilling the hole. The beer snakes, the people who parachute in. It's just so fun just to go there and just watch like the Snapchat stories because obviously
Yeah,
it's really cool to see on TV, but to see even the better stuff, the stuff that they can't put on TV because they got to be, you know, child friendly or PG-13 at best. Um, so yeah, I mean, it's a great week. Uh, the course is wonderful, always so green because they obviously paint the grass because never gets that green in Arizona. Uh, can't afford that water bill, but yeah, it's just a spectacular venue.
yeah. I think a lot of people were not protesting, but they were bashing the event because Harry Higgs is not in the field. We
How could we
saw
forget? How could we forget?
Harry Higgs and Damon take off their shirts, going crazy on that hole. It was in full swing last year, which sucks. But I think a memory we weren't old enough to remember. But I think it was 1999 that I saw, maybe earlier. But Tiger he went either four left or four right on a hole into the fans. His ball was behind like a big like boulder, and he had fans because he he couldn't move it, but if a
Hmm.
fan did, it's legal. So
Hmm.
he got a lot. He got like a dozen or so fans to push his boulder away so he could hit his shot to like straight into the green. I think
Hmm.
that just I feel like that's also a moment that just like sums up the entire sport of golf. That is just what other sport are you getting fans to move a gigantic boulder for the best player in the entire like world to
Hmm.
not lose basically a stroke on a hole or even more. Um, but I also saw. I don't know if you saw this as you're a bigger Bob Dove sports fan than I am, but they're doing this. I think it's called the Tito's Scramble, and it's Keith Mitchell, Harry Higgs, and Joel Damon are
Hmm.
paired with one of Bob, Joey, or Fat Perez, and I think they're doing like
Hmm.
a it might be like a par three course. They did this last year. I think like the Bob Dove Sports Crew announced this event, but I think now that they're playing, um, so I think there's like real content with Bob Dove Sports and Keith Mitchell,
Hmm.
Damon, and Higgs, which I think will be pretty cool and kind of crazy to think that YouTube is getting YouTube players are getting on live TV. I'm sure it'll be on Golf Channel. I think, um,
Hmm.
which I thought was pretty cool. I know that you're a big Bob Dove Sports fan.
Yeah, it's also kind of cool because outside of the players and some majors, I forget which one, but the Phoenix Open is the I don't want to say the only because I said there's other tournaments, but one of the few tournaments that works with these golf content creators and allows them to produce their own merchandise with the WM
Yeah,
Phoenix Open. You have Bob does sports merchandise, you have Barstool Golf merchandise. That's an amazing idea. It's the perfect tournament for it. Like I don't think if you went to like a Harbor Town or a I don't know the Honda. I'm just blanking on just like
yeah. I mean,
mid-level courses. It's the perfect one just given the whole party atmosphere behind it and how it appeals to young people more. And it's like, okay, we can bring these content creators in, have them make, throw our logo on their brand, and it's mutually advantageous for the WM Phoenix Open and the brand as well, the content
yeah. It
brand.
definitely appeals to the average age, I guess, or maybe
Hmm.
of who watch Bob Dove Sports and um, that content. But then I also saw that Good is doing a live event
Mm.
on Wednesday night. They're doing like a two-man scramble type of event under the lights in Scottsdale, I believe. I know it's in Arizona, so I'm assuming it's in Scottsdale, but they are there. They have some pretty big names in it, and like I think half of it's being telecasted on Peacock, and then the other
Hmm.
half is being on the Good YouTube channel. So again, this is a big week for golf, and getting into like the YouTube game is I think is pretty big. I think it's pretty crazy to think that Good is going to be on Peacock, which I think is pretty crazy. But I think this is going to be not the first time we see these big names here doing this type of content. So I think this is a big week for golf, big week for the Super Bowl. I know we've 5 more minutes, but
Hmm.
let's. What do you have any into?
Um,
Are you a big tails guy, heads guy? Uh, give me some. Give me something to wrap this up.
Well, the age-old bet that I always do and always lose is touchback no, because I always am a firm. I don't want to say firm believer. It's like 26-4 in the past 30 years of touchback. Yes, it's always a touchback, but it's like plus 400 this year, which is so stupid because remember the good old days where Devin Hester. I just saw a clip of this. Returns kickoff for the
Yeah,
touchdown, but you like to think okay, the kicker, a little nervous, kicks it to the 2 yard line, or, barely into the end zone. You get a very excited kick returner. He runs it back. Capiche. That's it. Probably still bet that. I always think that's a fun one. Um, Gatorade color is a crapshoot. I don't think that's as good. I always think the
no,
the anthem bets are so much fun. Just yelling, "Slow down, speed it up, speed it up." And I think there's a really fun thing. If you read the rules of the anthem bet, it starts, on the first word, and the singer can
Hmm.
only say brave once. They can't say it twice. So it's you can bet on everything. I saw this year you can bet on, not Tyreek Hill, excuse me, Travis Kelsey's first catch. Okay, is it to the left side of the field, the right side of the field, the middle? How far? Christian McCaffrey's first run to the right, to the left. How many yards? It's just crazy because you think like, okay, how is this legal? Because this is pure luck. There's no statistic that says Christian McCaffrey. I mean, there probably is. On average, he goes to the left on the first play, and it's
Yeah.
7 yards. If it's stupid, but it's the Super Bowl, so lawmakers will overlook it, to get the billions in taxpayer dollars. So, not much from me. I don't know. I'll probably just pick up a bunch before the Super Bowl starts and go from there. But any bets from you?
I'll probably go tails
Okay.
just for fun. I don't really bet
I'll go.
anything
I'll go
that.
heads against you. We'll make it interesting. I'll go heads. You go
Yeah,
tails.
I don't
Boom.
really
Done.
bet like anything that's not. I don't bet anything like crazy like that. I think
Yeah.
I think in years past, I think last year I might have put a couple bucks on like first penalty to be like a hold or
Yeah.
something. But I usually, but like when people have like parties, I usually do like a prop bet sheet. So like
Hmm.
this year, like I'll send it in. So forever I've been doing that.
Hmm.
I will probably bet CMC over his rushing yards and just take Kelsey
Of
for a
course.
touchdown and over his receiving yards. I've
Hmm.
been backing Kelsey every week with touchdown and receiving yards and it just hits. So I think the Niners are gonna have to run it. I know that his line is probably like 90.5. I think is last time I
Hmm.
saw it last week, but I just think I think it's a good bet. I think you just bet these stars. I can see it being kind of like a low scoring game.
Hmm.
I saw that the odds makers said that um, if this was a neutral site field in the regular season, the Niners would be like minus like 6.5, which I thought was kind of
Hmm.
interesting. And now they're
Hmm.
laying 2.5 in this. But I'm not gonna. I probably won't bet the game. I can't bet against Mahomes and Andy Reid. So um, maybe I'll tweet out like a dumb bet or something. But it's a very exciting week that we have
Hmm.
in golf, waste management, Super Bowl. So I guess next Monday morning, early Monday morning, afternoon for you, we'll have a Super Bowl champion, Phoenix Open
Hmm.
champion, Las Vegas LIV champion. We'll have a Tito Scramble champion, a good champion. So this is the week of trophies,
Hmm.
the week of champions.
The week of everything. One last like
Yeah.
30-second question for you. I don't know if you saw, but in Canada, you can bet if Travis Kelsey proposes to Taylor Swift, and yes was plus 190. What would you bet there? No was like minus 250.
I mean, I wouldn't even bet it because I don't think
If
it's
you
gonna
had to
actually
bet
gonna
it, if you
happen.
had to bet it, if you had to bet it,
No, no, no.
yeah.
Well, I mean,
There's value. Yeah,
you can't.
it's not
No,
happening.
he's not.
It's not happening. There's value in yes. It's not. Or I'm sorry. There's value in no. Excuse me. It's not happening.
Yeah,
I mean, it's just
yeah.
crazy. But people will bet on anything. They'll bet on anything. So. Yeah, well, that wraps it up from us here at the Bunker to Bunker podcast. We are, as Josh said, coming towards a fun week of champions. So yeah, looking forward to the fun stuff.